Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain!
Oh!
More and more studios are looking at releasing base games for $80. Not special editions, not bundles, just the standard version of a game for nearly $100.
Gaming is $80 now. That's just the world we live in. Stop complaining. What are you, poor?
The Outer Worlds 2 will be available in 2 editions. Standard edition for $79 and a premium edition for $99.99.
Genuinely starting to get worried about what this means for the long tail of this hobby.
I'm sick of BS. I'm sick of DRM. I'm sick of paying for a game and not even actually owning it.
Video game piracy is making a comeback as more and more people are realizing that game studios are just greedy, lazy, sneaky corporations who would do anything to drain every penny they possibly can from your wallet. Take Nintendo, for example. Their Mario Kart series that used to cost $50 to $60 now costs $80 for a digital copy. This game alone costs more than some of your favorite high-budget games like Last of Us, Elden Ring, Spider-Man, even God of War Ragnarok, with some of the best visuals and story you'll ever find in a high-budget game, costs less money than Mario Kart.
What are we hunting?
The gay agenda.
What's
Nintendo is pushing their customers to an edge where the other side is the high seas.
You missed me, fool. Oh, I didn't see you there. I was too busy playing one of the greatest games of all time on a console that is one of the greatest, if not the greatest.
Pirating Nintendo games is totally valid and it's okay, and anyone who says it isn't needs a change of perspective or just some education.
But the worst part is they're probably the least guilty in this current movement of profit over customer bandwagon. In Ordinary Gamer's video about Ubisoft, he talked about a game, The Crew, which he bought to play with the boys. When he logged in to activate the game to play it one more time, he was greeted with a message to let him know that the game which he bought with his hard-earned money had been shut down.
Why not check the store to pursue your adventures? Remember that game you bought?
If he worked as a teacher in Mississippi, it would have cost him multiple hours of work to save up enough money to buy this game, which Ubisoft took away from him and thousands of other players because they wanted to save money.
You literally cannot even experience it. The game is effectively just lost media. And for some reason, Ubisoft is okay with that. This can't be legal.
If you go on YouTube, you'll find people who are randomly cut off in real time in the middle of the gameplay. All the money spent on this game, all the time invested customizing the perfect racing car, and the memories built in the process, all gone in an instant. Over 10 games like this have had online service shut down from them just this year alone. If you bought any of these games, you'll find that they're either harder or straight up impossible to play, leading many people to believe that it's actually better to pirate games illegally than purchase them legally. And for people outside the US, things get even worse. If you bought a movie ticket in the US, it would cost you $10 to $20 on average, depending on the theater. But if you bought the same ticket in a country like Brazil, where the average household income is relatively lower, you'll spend the dollar equivalent of $3.50 to $8 tops. In India, it gets much lower, down to $2. But for video games, it's a completely different story. An $80 copy of Mario Kart is $80 worldwide, regardless of how much people make in other countries. And it's not just Nintendo. Other video games do this as well. In my research, I found a post of a user from Thailand who expressed that game prices in their country have stayed at the same rate with the US since 2017, despite their people earning 90% less than them. In India, game prices when adjusted for the average Indian household is still relatively higher than many gamers can afford. These problems have created a moral dilemma for many people to justify piracy.
इंडिया में गेम्स बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपेंसिव हैं एज कम्पेयर टू द वेस्ट। यहाँ बहुत से एडल्ट्स भी हैं जो कि गेमर्स हैं एंड अर्न भी करते हैं, बट उनके भी अपने काफी सारे एक्सपेंसेस होते हैं जिन्हें कॉम्प्रोमाइज करके वो वीडियो गेम पे खर्च नहीं कर सकते। इसी कारण से गेमिंग को एंजॉय करने के लिए उन्हें पायरेटेड गेम्स ट्राई करने पड़ते हैं।
Especially when you consider the fact that most games today are just cash cows for studios to milk more revenue from their players while offering little value in return. The FIFA released every year is the exact same with a new word slapped on it. The Black Ops released every year is the exact same with another new word slapped on it. And the NBA AAA games that release every year are literally the exact same with a new price slapped on it. Companies have realized that if they just slap a new marketing slang on a game, they could sell it over and over again, which should never have been in the first place. If you played a game like San Andreas back in the good days of gaming, it was simple. You could own it, you could share it, and most importantly, it did not require you to spend any extra money to enjoy the full experience of the game. Today, with video games, everything is a transaction.
We can do that. We can do whatever we want. So, on that, hypothetically, does that mean we could, I don't know, charge $1,000?
The real money in video games is not from people buying games at this point, but rather from the macro transactions within those games, costing some players to spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars to be able to fully enjoy the experience. Look at Star Wars, for example. To get this game at launch, like everybody else, it would have cost you $70. But here's where it gets interesting. If you wanted to play it just 3 days earlier, you would have had to pay almost double the original price for the exact same
You
game.
basically pay almost twice the price of the game, and you get to play 3 days ahead of time.
It's pretty clear where the priority for these studios are today, and it does not seem like it's getting any better anytime soon. If you were among the few people that wanted to play the new Assassin's Creed on release day, it would have cost you 85% more than you normally would have paid if you just waited for an extra 3 days.
That is extraordinarily anti-consumer. Like, increasing the amount of money just to play the game when it fucking releases is absurd.
The excessive monetization of video games to the point where people are going in debt for studios, combined with the constant inflation of game prices, ignited the fire for piracy all over again. Coupled with the fact that many studios simply do not care about the quality of their games anymore and would rather release an unfinished game as long as it makes a quick buck than spend extra resources perfecting a game for your satisfaction. You can see why people are upset.
Oh my god, bro.
Is this game worth it? Does that answer your question?
In Swizzle's video about Nintendo, he talked about a man who created a website called ROM Universe and let people download Nintendo games for free,
which is illegal. Matthew would run this site for a while, people would go download their free Nintendo games, and what made it worse, you could pay Matthew a subscription to get faster download speeds, which made Matthew $30,000 every single year. Now, if you're Nintendo, seeing all of that go down, your first thought is, we don't like that, let's sue Matthew. And they did just that. Nintendo took Matthew to court and ordered him to pay $2.1 million for allowing everyone to download Nintendo games for free on his website.
Game studios are cracking down on piracy fast, as they believe it is eating into their profits, causing them to underpay their developers and becoming a bigger threat to the entire industry than anticipated. Piracy doesn't just eat into their profit, it ruins their entire business model, especially when you consider the fact that we're moving into a new era of gaming, where studios like Ubisoft prefer to own the games they sell while renting us access. And you can see how piracy interferes with this agenda.
Boom, boom, boom! All of them talking about the fact that, yes, they are reaffirming this, that we do not own our games.
If piracy gives players full access to game files, studios aren't just losing money, they're also losing something even more valuable: data. Data that is key to shaping more addictive and engaging games, and in this attention economy, data is king. It tells studios what to change in their games to make it more enjoyable. It tells the studios the social and psychological habits of their players. There is so much data companies collect during a gameplay that have raised a few concerns over the years, but without it, they lose the insights that fuel their creative decisions. And without good creative decision, it turns back and bites them twice. As it is, game studios are already losing millions per year and can't afford to lose more to piracy. In 2024 alone, Ubisoft reported an operating loss of over $177 million, Blizzard over $1.6 billion, and EA Games over $6 billion in stock valuation. But that does not mean studios are dying. In fact, what they lose to bad games, they always almost make back in ridiculous charges, inflated game prices, and microtransactions. Hence we see
the socially accepted way of behaving in your game should be paid.
Microtransaction trend isn't going anywhere, as Electronic Arts brought in $5.6 billion in its latest earning results, highlighting the resilience of this evergreen business model.
Unlike most industries, video games offer something uniquely powerful: true escapism. The ability to immerse into another world and leave reality behind in a way few other mediums can match.
If your pants grow, I'm leaving. I think that's it.
Bro, oh my god, you turned black!
I didn't even notice.
What's wrong, cuz?
That's why the average gamer spends over $1,000 a year on video games. It's also why some of the world's biggest companies like Netflix and Apple are investing heavily into video games. It is because of this vast potential that studios are doing everything they can to stop piracy. Apart from the "you wouldn't steal a car" ad propaganda that companies tried when piracy was just popping off, there are other measures studios have taken over the years to stop pirates, like the use of anti-piracy screens designed to punish people for playing pirated games. For example, people who pirated Spyro back in the 2000s noticed that the dialogue was different between the playable character Spyro and the supporting character Zoe. If you bought the game, Zoe sounded something like this.
This Rhinoc is too big to charge. You'll have to flame him using the circle button.
But in the pirated copy, she sounded more like this instead.
I'm sorry, Spyro, but you seem to be playing a hacked version of this game.
Some games introduced features specifically designed to either guilt trip players or deliberately frustrate them to the point where the experience becomes unbearable, like the glitching motorbike in Batman Asylum, the chicken shooting gun in Crisis Warhead, and probably the most hilarious one is Red Alert 2, which would immediately blow up everything you have within a few seconds of starting a pirated version of the game. But all of these actions did not stop piracy. In fact, some even suggest that these messages actually increased piracy behavior by 18% in men, as frustrating them from pirating only made them want to pirate even more. Game studios are starting to accept that piracy will never fully disappear, so now they're making one final move. It's called subscription gaming. You've probably seen it already, or even subscribed to one, like Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, or EA Play. Unlike pirated games we have today, subscription services require an active online account, which gives game publishers far more control over everything. That's the real goal studios seem to want to pursue here. It's not just about selling games, but turning players to monthly recurring revenue for as long as possible, maximizing revenue from each player until investors are satisfied. Compared to a one-time purchase of $60 or $70 or even $100, subscriptions offer studios the kind of income that is predictable because it does not require new sales to make money, and most importantly, it comes with no extra cost to game studios. But it doesn't stop there. These studios strip away ownership, as buying a game subscription for Star Wars means you're not buying the game, you're renting access to said game. Once you stop paying, you lose everything forever. It also means piracy becomes far more difficult, as their always online requirements allow companies to detect and shut down unauthorized access to their games more easily. They may not have been able to convince people to stop piracy, but maybe they can force them instead. And by keeping everything online, studios gain more than just reduced piracy. They gain more of the data they need about their players. Then there's the monetization potential. Just like Netflix, Spotify, Adobe, YouTube Premium, and all the countless other subscription services out there, subscription gives gaming companies the ability to raise prices, introduce ad-supported tiers like YouTube is doing now with Premium, or gatekeep content at any time. And it's already happening. Both PlayStation and Xbox are rumored to raise prices again after they previously raised prices last year.
It's official, guys. Xbox is raising their prices, and
they're raising the price on consoles, controllers, headsets, games.
They market it as a convenient option for gaming, but if they're totally honest about everything, the shift isn't just about convenience. It's about consolidating power in the industry and maximizing as much profit as they possibly can. And in the process, it's slowly eroding the artistry and independence that once defined gaming. Validating the vision, you will own nothing and you will be happy.
Everything is a subscription. You don't own anything anymore.
What happened to the days where you could just buy something and then that was it. That was it. That was the end of it. You never had to sign up to anything. There was no app for it. You just bought the thing and that was it.
I hate that everything is a subscription now. Like, there are some things that are not meant to be a subscription.
I'm so sick of them. I'm tired. Like, it started with streaming services and it seemed like a good idea, right? It was like, okay, cool. Instead of buying DVDs, I can just pay X dollars a month and I can get all these shows. But now they're starting to take away the shows and there's 900 subscription services for things.
I want you to leave me alone. I want to give you the amount of money that you asked for to make the game, and then just have you be out of the transaction entirely. Once I buy this, there's no umbilical cord between you and I. we're done with our transaction.
We're entering a new era of gaming where physical media is being eroded out of existence as many game studios push for digital copies through subscriptions. People are finding stores clearing their shelves from physical games, and studios could not be happier. I figured the best way to end this is to highlight the fact that piracy started when it became more convenient than buying. The frustration that led people to piracy is the same one leading them back to it again. Ubisoft has become a primary target for piracy for even mentioning the fact that gamers do not own their games. That's why online forums, Telegram channels, and Facebook groups have been created to empower people to pirate again. If studios really want to move past piracy, they need to give people a reason to stop, not just try to force them. If music could fix piracy by making it both convenient and affordable, why can't gaming?